90.5 WUSC FM, Columbia.
Hey, this is Mike, and you're listening to Columbia Beat. We are with Stephen Crane, who is the author of the new novel, his debut, Staring at the Ceiling. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And it was touch and go for a minute there because you were stuck in gridlock in Augusta, Georgia, yeah?
It's good to be back in Columbia.
Yeah, so now that we've got you brought that up, how long has it been since you were here?
Well, I was here at Carolina in 90 through 95, moved back to Atlanta, and come back every now and then. Haven't been back in about a year, but we always pop in and out whenever we can.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned you went to school here, and you were here at the same time I was, and we were all at the same shows, and I want to thank you because these kind of weekends where these bands get back together, and on top of it, there's a novel, really, which you have right here. Brand new novel. How many bands? 8?
Seven
bands, some of which are getting back together specifically for this event.
Absolutely.
And if you were around in 93, in the early 90s, you know what fantastic bands these are. Very much looking forward to reading the book. So now that we have you here, give us a little background on how you started writing it.
Well, I mean, basically it's a little bit of a love letter to my time here in Columbia. And, you know, it's fictionalized. There are a lot of characters that are based on or inspired by people that I knew, experiences that I had, but it's sort of a love letter to my time here in those early 90s.
So semi-autobiographical as far as your time here?
The veil's pretty thin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I asked specifically if we could say it took place in Columbia because I haven't actually read it yet. It is a fictionalized version.
It is a fictionalized version.
But you said the veil was thin.
Yeah. In the book, the town the events take place in is actually fictionalized and named Bradford, but it's referred to as a small southern town. And so when I started writing it, I don't think that I really wanted it to be like a tell-all and everybody recognized everybody sort of thing, because it's not really, it's not really the real people necessarily. But it's kind of good that it's fictionalized and that it's, as a small southern town, these are the same experiences that people are having in college towns and small towns all over the place.
So the universal kind of voice.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Now, what you mentioned something interesting when you and I were talking, and I was getting a little background on it, that when you're young and have all the time and the energy in the world, you don't look at the novel as a daunting prospect. And you said you kind of realized that you had been writing things down and the narrative started presenting itself, but you had a great quote about how when you're young you think, oh, novel, no problem, but as you get older you think, wow, what have I gotten myself into here? So you had actually started it, bits and pieces of things you'd written down in a notebook, then you started to see a narrative kind of take shape.
Yeah, I think that I probably realized when I was 19, 20, 21, while I was here and having those experiences with those people, that they were pretty universal experiences, but they were pretty unique and pretty extraordinary in some ways. And so I just, I was a journalism major, graduated with a degree in advertising. I'm a writer by trade.
Oh,
and
nice.
So as part of that, you're always taking notes, you're always sort of jotting down things, and so I started to notice that there were some extraordinary things happening and some pretty interesting things and some pretty cool experiences that we were part of and had, and so I just started writing some things down, and when you write enough things down, you start to see connections, and a story started to form around some of those things. And I kind of put it to the side and didn't do anything with it during my time here. And then when I graduated and I'm back in my parents' basement because I couldn't find a job and I had plenty of time and no wife and
We've
no
all
kids.
done it.
Yeah,
Yeah, in fact, I think college students are still having that problem.
Yeah.
Again, the universal experience, right? So then you have plenty of free time, and I started writing the story around that and spent a couple of years writing on it in my early 20s, and then got real busy with a job, got married. My beautiful wife, Carrie's actually here in the studio.
Carrie's
with
actually
us. Hey,
responsible for the whole party, so
absolutely. Yes. Got married, had kids, and got busy with career and stuff like that, and set it aside for 15, 16 years. Never even touched it, and probably thought I was never going to do anything with it again. And then in those 15 years, you do a lot of living, and things change, and you have different experiences. I always sort of kept it in the back of my mind, and came back to it. And as I thought about coming back to it, a lot of time had passed, and sort of realized that some of the things might not be exactly what they were 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but it was all still sort of true. And way back in the beginning, I had an idea of how it started, where it went, and where it finished. But 15 years later, when I picked it back up again, it wanted to end in a different way. And
That's interesting. So the narrative kind of dictates where it wants to go.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had experiences, and enough things had happened to me and changed some of the way that I saw things and saw people and saw the world,
Mm-hmm.
that the story that I thought I was writing sort of wanted to go in a different direction. So it was weird to pick up something that I had left off 15 years ago,
Uh-huh.
to pick it up again and look at it in a new way to see if it could actually even go in that direction and end a different way.
Right.
And so the second half of it gets written when I'm 40, 41, whereas the first half gets written when I'm 20 or 21. And
Now, did you do much editing on that stuff that was written earlier? It's not. I know you said you changed the ending.
oh no, I just wrote everything once and published it.
All right. No, I'm just saying, like,
First draft,
how
no
did
typos.
Never looked at
Yeah.
that. Never looked at that.
No.
how did your like being that much time passing?
it
Did that
is-
affect all that stuff as well as the
It
ending?
is a challenge, and I can tell where I stopped writing and where I picked it up.
Right.
And I don't, and I tried very hard to make that a seamless transition and make the edits
Trying not to put a
necessary.
big part on the page.
Exactly. Right. End of part one. Right. Yeah.
20 years later.
Exactly. But yeah, it becomes a challenge to, and your writing style changes. You know, as a professional writer, you write differently after you've had different experiences and written certain things and, you know, learned certain things, tried different things, got tired of writing a certain way.
Was your inner editor like yelling at your 21-year-old, 22-year-old self, going, "What?" Or was it more of an accepting, like?
Yeah, probably. There was definitely some back and forth there. And,
Okay.
you know,
Because I burned all my notebooks from that era. Just went back and read them and
that's
was
a
like,
terrible
no.
idea.
I know,
No,
but I don't
keep your
regret
notebooks.
it.
More common than you think.
Keep your
Yeah.
notebooks. Yes, you never know. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. The cover is gorgeous. Who did that?
That is, so I work in advertising as a writer, and I have the great pleasure to work with lots of talented people. One of those people is one of my most consistent partners, who is a guy named Jeff Quigley. He's
Okay.
actually up in Nova Scotia, Canada.
Ah.
And he and I have been working together for about 10 years, and in addition to working together in our day jobs, we partner together whenever we can. And so when I had this idea and knew that I was going to pursue this from a self-publishing perspective and all that, and I went to him and said, I've got this book and I need some help with the cover, and here's what the book is about, here's what I really want the cover to be. And he sent me, the first thing he sent me looked like a Stephen King novel.
Really?
And I was like, well, that's not exactly what I had in mind. This is what make these changes. And the second thing he sent me is what we're all looking
And that's
at.
got
Yeah.
Trinity Episcopal Cathedral on the front, which
It
is
does.
gorgeous. Is that a watercolor?
It is, yeah, it's a watercolor treatment of illustrations and photography.
Excellent.
And I have a quick question.
Yeah, come on in, Josh.
Who designed the flyers for the show tomorrow?
Well, so he designed, he did all the design work. Jeff Quigley did the book cover and the posters and all that. And Tom actually was my local hookup.
Tom.
Dude, can't thank Tom enough. Tom has worked harder on this than probably anybody else.
I love that the flyers match
The book.
the book
Right.
cover. It's fantastic.
Tom's actually worked harder on this than I have, I think, in putting the
My
show
pleasure.
together.
It was really my
So, you know, putting people together, putting flyers together. I still owe you money for flyers.
I want my $2.
Yeah, canvassing the town. So yeah, it's been a labor of love that brought a whole bunch of people back together, which is
That's
the best part of
fantastic.
all of it.
I mean, not only is it amazing that there's a local book about a time that I've been accused of hopelessly romanticizing.
You were there.
Yeah, but it was magical, right? You had the Hugh E. Street practice. Does Hugh E. Street practice space make an appearance in the book?
Briefly, but it's described as something else.
I'll figure it out.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, tons of fantastic bands who are playing now. It was just a great time. Youthful energy and music and things going on all
It
around.
was, and hopefully that's what we're here to do, is recapture some of that. If even just for
Fantastic.
like 6 or 7 hours. We're all like 40 plus now, so we're gonna take naps.
About 11
tomorrow.
o'clock, I'll be like,
Early bedtime tonight. Take naps tomorrow. do
So
what we
this will all
can.
culminate in tomorrow's show at the Art Bar, which is 7-band bill. And you can go. We're actually going to hear from one of the bands, Margot, in just a few minutes. But first, we're going to have a reading from Staring at the Ceiling. Before you do that, anything else that you wanted to say about the book? Give us a little lead-in as far. I know we haven't talked much about plot specifics.
Yeah,
but
sure.
As much as you're willing to share.
Yeah, sure. Well, we don't want to do spoilers
Exactly.
necessarily. But, yeah, in a general sense, the book's about several different things. There's a little bit of action, a little bit of mystery, and a whole bunch of bad behavior. I had to work hard to find a couple of pages that I could read that are radio friendly. So cover your ears, kids. But really, it's sort of about the uncertainty and anxiety of growing up, figuring out what you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be. And it's kind of about being stuck in a place that you don't really like, even if you've convinced yourself otherwise.
Wait, so these things change when you get older?
No, we're stuck forever, right?
Someone's got to tell me something.
Yeah, so it's kind of about being stuck in a place where you don't really like, even if you've convinced yourself otherwise, but then finding your way out of it in a way that you never really expected. And that's kind of where the book takes the main character. He's sort of out of a place that he shouldn't be in a way that he never expected. So, and in the end, it's kind of this weird God story, but it's wrapped in a lot of smoke and poor decision making and profanity.